What's up, everybody? Somebody with a wrench. His name's Dalton. And today, we're putting the finishing touches on the small block. At least some of them. The intake, maybe the distributor if we get a little crazy. The front thing all the belts sit on, that, I can't remember it, that thing. Stuff is happening in the front of the motor. Most of that stuff's gonna go back on, hopefully correctly. We'll keep our fingers crossed. And yeah, things are happening. We're getting really close to being able to do a first start on this thing, since pretty much the entire top end. I realized the other day, it's not just cam and head, it's a lot. I've done a lot of stuff I've never done before. So it's hopefully the next video after this, and I'm gonna jinx myself now that I say it, is gonna be the first start. And we're gonna see if I did any of it correctly, or if the stuff I didn't do correctly is gonna grenade the motor. So that will be an exciting, high energy video, at least for me to make. You guys will probably laugh. So buckle up, let's get some stuff done. It's gonna be a good time. All right, so one quick update. Nothing's really changed. I just crawled under and remembered to put an oil filter on, thank God. And then noticed when I got the car off the jack stands, this guy was loose. Whatever this is, it doesn't look like it's like the ball joint that's like at the end of these control arms. So I've got no idea what it is, except that it's a 9/16 bolt, and we don't like loose things here. So we're just gonna call that fixed. Yeah. That'll work. All right, so now that we've fixed whatever jank was happening in my front driver's side wheel, suspension thing, wow, English is really hard today. We need to decide where we're gonna go. What we're gonna do, because we've got a lot to do. I don't have any of it written down because that would require forethought, planning, and more than 3 brain cells. We could put the intake on, we could do the front pulley and harmonic balancer. I'm impressed with myself that I remembered that word, and start like reassembling the front of the long block and getting the accessories and maybe even the rad in and all that stuff. So we need to figure that out. And what I'm gonna do is follow the dopamine, and the dopamine wants to see the intake on the top of the engine. So I think that's what we're gonna do. I made that decision right now. So let me get my stuff ready, and then I'll walk you guys through how I'm gonna do it. Okay, so let's follow along with the plan that I just made. So the things we're gonna need are the intake. This is a $20, or maybe 80, I forget, aluminum intake that I got off of Facebook Marketplace from a really nice guy named Gary up the road. He's very sweet. He cut me a really good deal on it. It's a fancy, like, super cool air gapper, go faster, like, cool thing. I'm happy that I've got it and I didn't have to spend money on it. It's a bit more intake than I originally planned to put on the car, but 80 bucks is 80 bucks. Summit branded, so you know it'll definitely work and line up, and there won't be absolutely any machining issues with it. So I'm looking forward to that. How we're gonna have to attach it, I got a set of Edelbrock Vortec intake bolts. Words. I've got no idea if they're gonna fit or work. I should probably test those or open them up, make sure I got enough. But the gaskets we also need. I actually went and bought name brand for these because I know how to spend my money apparently. Felpro dudes. Now, if you didn't know, these guys sit in on top of your heads, something a little bit like that, right? And if we look, the little holes don't line up for the intake like bolts on the head, which is fine because we're rocking Vortex style, so the bolts are here and not here. I think that's what those are for. Yeah, that's what that looks like. So yeah, I need to put these on here, and I need to figure out a way to keep them from sliding it around and moving, and I think I already have. If we do some, that's fine. If we do some investigating, on the old heads that I pulled out, here and here are two end holes appear to be water jackets. Now you can tell because of the way that they are. You see that's all that old coolant, and if you look, there's a bunch of sealant up and around on both heads, those coolant passages. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some black magic, some black RTV, and just put like a thin layer around each one of the water jackets. And hopefully that will act as a glue that will hold this gasket up and on there while I get the intake on. I have checked. No, these heads aren't like intake matched, but like they line up, they're gonna fit, they're not gonna leak. They should be fine. So that's how I'm gonna attach them. If you look at your intake gaskets, they are directional, just like your head gaskets are. This side up, that means it points towards you, so you can read that fancy little warning. One issue with my plan, I'm a professional, a genius, and lost the cap to my tube of Black Magic RTV. If I squish it, it's still very plenty squishy. I can feel all the magic that's still inside here just waiting to be used for professional mechanic stuff. So I think I'm gonna dig a pick or something else long, skinny, and sharp, and just dig it around in there and break all that broken, dried up, wasted stuff up, because I'm a professional, and use that to like glue the gasket on. That's the plan. I'm also, the gasket kit that I bought for something in here, I don't know, I've got so many gaskets in a pile in the back of the garage. A lot of people recommend, including my hero, Derek from Vice Grip, to run a 1/4-inch bead along your actual block in the front and the back, and I'm gonna do that because the actual gaskets that came for this part are cork. They're literal old school cork. I would consider using actual gaskets if they were like nice rubber, but I have had several cork gaskets crumble, break apart, get dry, and just not do the thing, so I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna throw a whole bunch of my half dried up, abused, not taken care of Black Magic at it and hope that that works. So let's get to it. I'll pick you guys up if I run into any issues and let you guys see what the gaskets look like before I ka-thump the intake back down on top. Cool. All right, so back again. Tube of Black Magic, fully restored. I got the best results with one of these hooked, like offset hook picks. I've got a set of the cheapos from O'Reilly's somewhere over there in the toolbox, but this guy worked the best. I just jammed her in there and fucking whirled on her. Interesting byproduct. You get little RTV boogers that come out of here, like little solid baby chunks with the actual what's left of the liquid stuff. So that's fun. And you get to play the get out of here game. Feel like you're in middle school flicking boogers on your crush. But anyway, that's here nor there. We've got stuff happening. So I was right. It does kind of act like a glue and hold this gasket up where it's supposed to be. The intake ports are a bit smaller than the gasket, which now I really wish I would have checked this and ported it, but it's too late now. I'm not gonna do it, and I'll just have to live with that regret. This is what they looked like, this side looked like before I slapped this gasket down. You can see that it's not a lot, right? It's just a very small layer of RTV over those coolant passages just to give the gasket something to stick to, and maybe, hopefully, probably not, provide an extra layer of like sealant magic for the coolant passage so it doesn't dump coolant into the intake or combustion chambers or down into the valley or any of the other bad places we really don't want coolant to be. So cool. I'm gonna throw the other gasket on, and then I'm gonna lay my line, my bead. There we go. 1/4-inch bead. I'm gonna come up like, oh, this is a good example. I'm gonna just cover just the very end of this gasket, down and around, and then up onto the next gasket. Hopefully provides a good seal. Hopefully it works. Hopefully I don't fuck it up. So cool. Be back in a second. Hey, I did a thing. Look, there it is. Doesn't it just look Beautiful. So freaking purty. One concern. There's a big old gap there. There's one there, and you can kind of see the gasket poking through. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but it's there. It's more noticeable on this side. I thought it might straighten itself out when the bolts went on. I don't know, they could be under torqued. I went until it felt not safe to continue farther with that, but I could Google it, figure out what torque spec I'm supposed to have that down on. I've even got a torque wrench like a professional, so I should probably actually do that. Which I will, I guess. I'll do that after I put the camera back down. But anyway, it's in. Major issues maybe aside. I'm sorry. I know on YouTube videos, it's like the thing, like you watch the dude plop the stuff and ooh, ah, right, satisfying, cool. I don't have anywhere to put the camera. Oh, well, fuck, I could have put it over there, but I didn't film it because I'm an awful YouTuber and you definitely shouldn't subscribe. So, but it's in, and now I need to figure out where I'm going to go next. My thought process, if you'll follow along, is I think I'm going to put more lube on my brand new shiny roller tip rocker arms. You can watch me install those in a previous video if you want to, I guess. But the lube's still there. Comp advertises it as being sticky and how you can leave it on stuff and it'll be good forever. Well, I don't know. We're definitely going to test that because I'm slow. When you're lazy and stupid, you tend to not work on things super quickly. At least things you want to get done right. So if it's been like a week, maybe more, I don't know. My grasp of time is kind of floaty at best. So it could have been longer since I lubed those up. So I'm going to throw more lube on the roller tips anyway. I just had a heart attack thinking about what the cam and the lifters look like, but we're not going to worry about it. Not today, anyway. But lube those and then put the valve covers on. Get them actually bolted down because that'll look pretty and get these things protected. And then I'm thinking I'm going to test fit the carb and then the air cleaner and then see if the hood closes still, because that intake sits quite a bit higher than the other one did. And I'm going to be using an Edelbroken up there because it's a carb that I know worked. It was working perfectly fine on this car when I decided to, you know, endeavor out on this hot rod adventure. So I'm going to slap it on and see if the hood still closes, because that's going to be an issue if it doesn't. Then I'm going to have to, like, I don't know, that's going to be a whole thing that I'm going to have to figure out if that doesn't work. But I'm going to do that, I think, and then maybe get the distributor in. I've never done that, and I think I've been pretty open on this channel when I've talked in the past about how I think distributors are kind of magic. Like, I understand how they work in like an abstract sense, but like actually handling them, installing them, messing with timing, tuning stuff, it all still seems a little bit like witchcraft or magic to me. So I might need supervision to get that installed, but I'll give it a shot today. Actually, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do, is at least get the distributor in and then maybe do the front crank pulley and stuff. I don't know. You guys will figure it out. I'll be back in a couple seconds with updates. Okay, boy, do I have an update for you guys. So, I did not do the distributor. I put the harmonic balancer back on. And the valve covers. Look at how pretty they are. Cool and race car with their little T-screw things. So, this process, getting your balancer back on. I am not going to sleep right tonight. This was extremely stressful, and let me explain why. These are keyed onto your crank bolt, just like, or the end of your crank, whatever you call it, with a bolt and a washer, and it drives down, right? It didn't want to go down because it's a very tight fit. So I lubed her up with some good old WD, and then slid that guy down, and I got maybe like a ½ inch or so, like by hand, just trying to like coax her home. Didn't want to work. I was like, well, it's got to go home. That's where it lives. It needs to be there, otherwise the car doesn't get to make cool noises and stuff. So I brought out the gentle Persuadinator. By the way, if you don't have a rubber mallet, I can't recommend one enough. They're fantastic for when you need to hit something, but you don't want to like break it. they're great. So I just started wailing on it with this thing, trying to get that pulley, that harmonic balancer, to like go home. Didn't want to do the thing, didn't want to work. So scratch that, right? Didn't want to work. So then I had a bright idea. Why don't I just get the Ugga machine out, run the bolt down the end of the harmonic balancer, and just use that to get it home. Bolt's not long enough, right? So I still need some way to get that harmonic balancer farther down the end of the crank thing so I can do the cheater thing, so I can get the car together. So I brought out Thor, or Mjolnir, whatever you want to call it, the big Persuadenator 8000, right? The best $8 I ever spent at a thrift shop ever. There is not a single thing that this hammer has not been able to get done for me. But no, I'm not that much of an idiot. I have 3 brain cells, not 2, so I didn't just start wailing on my harmonic balancer with fucking Thor's cock here. I grabbed a big chunk of 2x4. I've got a big stack of them over there on the workbench. I went through a phase. I was gonna make coasters with them. They were gonna be burnt and covered in epoxy and look really fucking cool. And I did. They're like leftover 4x4, right? It was gonna be upcycling at its finest, and I was gonna look like the most handy craftsman anybody's ever met. And then I promptly realized I'm just as bad as that as I am at working on cars. So they've sat on the workbench for 6 months or longer. So I just grabbed a big chunk of that there to use as my padding while I'm wailing on the harmonic balancer down there with, you know, the big boy. And then that happened. It just fell apart. I think there's another piece somewhere down there. Hopefully, maybe, you know, Mjolnir shoved it into the transfer case. Who knows? But that got it moving pretty good. Good enough that I was able to get like a thread and a half of the bolt down it. And that's when I grabbed the Ugga machine and just used it to drive it the rest of the way home. Just fucking sent it until the harmonic balancer stopped moving. Cool. Now, that might not sound like the right way to do something, and you're absolutely correct. Like, that is not probably the professional way to get this job done. You would want to use a cool torque wrench here, right? Which I did, in case you didn't know. The harmonic balancer for small block Chevys like this is supposed to be at 60 foot-pounds of torque. So that's cool. That's not a whole lot, right? The heads are at 70. Some other stuff I think is bigger than that, but it's still a considerable amount of torque to put on a bolt. Now, the members of my audience who've got more than 4 brain cells are going to notice, probably think of like the issue with trying to get your crank bolt down to 60 foot-pounds, is that odds are your engine's going to spin before you get there. Like, that bolt is what turns the crank and moves your cylinders and makes all the stuff happen. That's how you get, like, you rotate the engine by hand, using that bolt right there. So I had to get creative on a way to get this thing right on the bolt in a way where I could still torquelate on it. We'll just set that like that, still torquelate this way with it, and that thing wouldn't spin. So I looked around me, realized I had my jack and the handle for my jack. This might be the most useful that this piece of shit AC Delco jack has ever been, by the way. Cannot not recommend that brand of jack. I think I bought it at O'Reilly's. I don't buy it. It's a waste of fucking money. What I did was I jammed this thing in that part of my pulley so that I could hold on to it with this hand and then crank with my right hand on my fancy digital torque 'em up wrench and get the right torque rating on that bolt so that it wouldn't shake loose and fly out and ruin my day. Now, here's the thing. I'd get to like 55, 56, and it would just it would stay there. I'd be turning and it wouldn't get any tighter, wouldn't get any tighter, wouldn't get any tighter. And that either means that the harmonic balancer is going farther in, seating farther, tighter against the crank. Very likely. But it feels like I'm getting ready to break that bolt. Like, in my brain, I know that it's just the harmonic balancer sliding the last couple like millimeters or whatever that unit of measurement is in freedom units, down that crankshaft thing, fuck, the end of the crankshaft, whatever that's called. I know that's what's happening. The problem is my brain is shouting, you're gonna ruin your crank. You're gonna ruin your crank. You don't have the wallet for that, Dalton. You don't have the wallet for that. So it's just gonna sit at 58 foot-pounds, not 60. That's just, it is what it is. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Tonight's date night with the old lady, so I need to get some more things done, and I need to move really, really quickly with them. So I'm just gonna kind of walk you guys through what my next steps are here, and then probably maybe come back one more time and cut the video. So the water pump is gonna go on. The alternator, I might figure out how to get the power steering back up, but it's bracket kind of the thing here with the old exhaust headers, and I don't know if I'm going to permanently use them, so I might need to get creative with how that's going to get mounted and everything. But that's the only thing I'm doing for the rest of the day, is trying to get the accessories on, and then maybe even get a little spicy and do the radiator. We'll see. Nothing else interesting. I will try and make a video about getting the distributor in, or I'm gonna have somebody else who knows what they're doing come out and do it for me, and then I'll tell you guys how he did it in my next video. We'll see. But that's it. I'm gonna keep trucking because I'm gonna need to shower here in like an hour or two. So stay tuned, there's more coming. All right, so I'm back. It's the end of the day. I'm kind of done, but I got something exciting to show you. Whoa, look at that. Just look at the before and the after from when I started this video. It looks like a completely different engine. There's so much that I did today. I feel good. I was very productive. Water pump's on. I was a big dumb when I talked about putting the thing on. I still stand by everything I stood by, but there's no need to torque it because you had to take that bolt out to put the pulley thing that all your belts do all the stuff on back on. So that was fun. That had to get, yeah, I had to fix that. But then look up here. I went ahead and ran my studs for the carb down into the intake, because those can stay, and then kind of just test fit the carb. I'm not going to hook anything up because shouldn't, but I wanted to do a test fit. Put a little dab of that really sticky lube that Comp sends you, because one, it was close, and two, it's red. And then I just kept closing and closing and closing the hood, pushing down on it to see if like this stuff was gonna fit, because it's a cool new tall air gapper deal here, and it fits. Look at that. That's fucking exciting, man. So the engine's looking like an engine again, like a real boy engine, not like a torn apart might be an engine again one day when I'm motivated kind of engine. So that's a win. We're gonna call it a win anyway. So next, I'm gonna just do a bunch of boring shit. I'm gonna put the rad back in. I'm gonna figure out how to get the alternator and the power steering and all that stuff put back on. I gotta wait to go get a thermostat gasket. These fucking planes, dude. Get a thermostat gasket because the alternator bracket mounts to the thermostat housing and all that other happy shit, right? So I'm probably gonna do all that off camera this weekend because it's kind of boring. I'm thinking the next time I pick you guys up and I bring you along is when I do a first start, which is going to be so fucking exciting. We're going to start it and drive it. Like, that just feels weird to say, but it's happening, man. So stay tuned. If you want to watch that, I hope you do, because it's probably going to be exciting for at least me, and hopefully exciting for you. If you hung out to the end of the video, I really fucking appreciate you and love y'all. Hope you have a great day.